Hello and welcome to Optimum You. I'm Dr. Melissa Grill-Peterson, your functional wellness educator, and I'm really excited to introduce you to part one of our 5-part health orientation class. And right now in this first section, we're going to explore establishing your baseline. What does that really mean? Why do we need to discuss it? And what role does it play in helping you to get back into feeling like you and experiencing your optimum health and well-being? So I'm not going to talk a lot. I want to get you right into the material, but before we jump in, there's a PDF download that does go with this course, so please make sure you have it. It's your Optimum You workbook that's going to take you through some of the materials. It's going to give you a place to take notes and to write things down, so make sure you've got that ready to go along with a pen and paper. So as you begin your health journey, first let's just say something brought you in the door, okay? So I'm not sure where you're at right now. I don't know if something suddenly just happened and you're having an acute problem, or if you've really been battling with something for a very long time and it was just dull for a while, or you could ignore it, you could kind of put it off, but it just kept creeping up on you and getting worse and worse and worse until you just couldn't ignore it anymore. So wherever you're at along the spectrum, welcome. We're glad you're here, whatever brought you here. But what I want you to know right now is that wherever you're at, well, it's your starting point. And I want you to think about why you came in. So you came in for a reason. You were sick and tired of being sick and tired. Your energy's too low. You've got too much pain. You want to lose weight, whatever it is. So you are very aware of what you don't want, right? What you don't want to be feeling anymore. So where is it that you want to go? How is it that you want to be feeling, moving, breathing, thinking, living your life in the body that you have? So that's what I want you to think about, because really we're going to be building a roadmap together. So where is it that you want to go, and what does optimum health really look like for you? Now, it's okay if you don't have the answer right now, because as we move through the health orientation class, think of it like a process where we're just going to kind of kick the dirt off the roots, so to speak, and we're going to help with section by section to support you with more clarity, more resources and tools and knowledge, so that you really have the power to take back control of your health. So for right now, all I want you to do is just to begin to consider what it looks like, what it would feel like. Just start to think about that healthy you. When this problem that you're experiencing, whatever it is that brought you in, when it's no longer a problem, what would that be like? Well, interestingly enough, many of us, myself included, kind of think that health or a successful healing journey should just kind of be this straight trajectory over here, right? So that's kind of what we think it should look like. But reality is typically much different. Now, I don't know if you can relate, but I can tell you firsthand, success has definitely looked like this for me at times. Twists and turns, ups and downs, and literally backtracking, and you just feel like you're all over the place. And you feel like, man, you think you're 2 steps forward and you're 3 steps back, but ultimately you get there, okay? So I want you to know it's not a straight route. It is filled with twists and turns, and the reality is that it's a journey. But here's the good news, is that you're here at Optimum Health, and that means you're not alone. That means you have us, your team, and we're here to go on the journey with you, because it is a journey. But the really cool thing that we get to do together, and the role that we get to play in supporting you to really correct your health challenges and really optimize your health, is that it doesn't have to be so many twists and turns. It doesn't have to be loop-de-loops and backtracking. It can be still the journey that it's going to be. Because listen, if anybody tells you it's a quick fix, please run. There are no quick fixes. And why? Well, you and I, each and every one of us, we live inside of this human body, and our bodies are cyclical. Everything is designed, developed, and runs in a process, not just a one and a done. So think about your breathing right now. Notice how it's an in and an out. If all you could do is breathe in but not breathe out the dangerous carbon dioxide, you would die. If you couldn't breathe in, all you could do is breathe out, you wouldn't live. You see, it's a process, it's a give, it's a take. The lub-dub of your heartbeat. It's a process. So everything from creating life to healing tissue to moving into chronic disease states didn't just happen overnight. So just like you didn't get here overnight, yes, there could have been a trauma, okay? But even the severity of the trauma depends on what was the state of your body and your health before that traumatic event. Okay, so as things start to wear down, then we have more weak links in our chain, if you will. And so when a trauma does happen, it can be much more severe. So things typically don't come on overnight, and they typically don't just correct overnight. It's a process for true correction and true healing. So the real goal is that we're going to take this journey together so that you can reach your destination faster, with greater clarity, greater confidence, greater know-how, without all the backtracking and the loop-de-loop. Sound good? Okay, because that sounds like a much more pleasant journey, right? Taking the scenic route, but still getting there in a good amount of time. Well, the really neat thing that I need you to know is I want you to remember that right now you're here at the beginning, and we're talking all about benchmarking for you. So you're in the beginning, and even if you're not where you want to be, that's okay. I just want you to embrace it for a moment, because you don't have to see the whole journey. You don't have to know how to get it all done. And I don't expect it. The team doesn't expect it. And I don't want you to put this on yourself that it's all going to be right tomorrow. Because again, that's not how it happens. It's a process. So just like in order to get up that entire staircase, you have to take the first step. Think about it. If you're in your car and you're out driving, and yes, maybe you're going to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, you can see what that journey should look like on the map. But when you're in the car, can you see California from New York? You can't, right? You can only see the 100 yards in front of you, and then the next 100 yards, and the next 100 yards, and the next 100 yards. It's an unfoldment. It's a process. It's a step at a time. And so right now, you're at the beginning step. You are at a really cool spot, actually. You're at the starting line. And so I want you, as a place to begin, to tune into you. And I'm going to give you full permission to engage in the first exercise that's going to really move you to a greater state of health and well-being, and that's personal awareness. First, we do have to know where we're at, whether we like it or not. And to have a benchmark, we've got to quantify things, okay? So in the office, we're going to quantify where your health is at with some of our scientific diagnostic testing, examination, different testing and modalities. So one of the very, very first and most basic yet comprehensive places where we can get the most information from you is with your blood work and with your examination. So we do some very, very comprehensive blood work. We do a lifestyle exam, a health history, a physical examination, and we go ahead and we take, what you've been dealing with, what your problems are, and we bring all these pieces together from that initial examination process. And based on what we find, we might need to establish a few other baselines, but we're really looking to say, how's your body functioning right now? Because you're feeling all these symptoms. Now, symptoms are not an indicator of health or disease. Symptoms are your body's way of talking to you. Now, they're a piece of the puzzle, but they're not the whole enchilada, so to speak. I don't know if you know of anybody that has ever had cancer, that has had many types of chronic diseases, but cancer is one that many of us have been touched by. And typically when you've got cancer, you don't know it right away, meaning there are no overt symptoms that say, hey, you got a problem. They're the last thing to come when there's a problem, because they're slow in nature, the breakdown in the body, the dysfunction, the imbalance, and it's a cumulative effect. And so when you come in with a lot of symptoms, that's usually something that's been in process for a period of time. And when we begin to establish your baseline and we begin to look at some of these diagnostic tests, it lets us look not only at the overt big clinical stuff that's way out of balance, but we take an approach of what's called functional assessment. So we look at where things should optimally be. Okay, and this is not an optimum health standard. This is a clinical standard that all functional medicine and integrative medicine uses. It's saying, here's what's optimal. And clinical is different than that. Okay, clinical is where disease is happening. Like if you're outside of clinical, you're in disease. It's what's in clinical range that begins to give all the warning signs of when you're on the path to health or the path to disease. So we look at your functional levels to ensure that you're in the optimum range. Now, if you're out of the optimum range, high or low, well, that's pieces to the puzzle. That allows us to understand where your starting point is, what the pieces are that are formulating together to create those symptoms, okay? And so again, it's our starting point where we're gonna work together. We're gonna form that partnership. And then potentially if that initial assessment warrants further testing, for further clarity to understand, okay, this is suggesting, that there's more of a problem in the system. So we've got to look a little deeper so we can better understand. It's all information. It's simply a beginning point to let us clearly know this is where you're at, this is where you want to be, this is where you clinically need to be to experience optimum health. And then we partner with you. We work with you to support you with things like this, with classes like this, with the resources that you'll receive as you go throughout to ensure that you've got a plan in place that actually gets the results that you came in for. So we're not just treating the symptoms, we're not just kissing the boo-boo, we're really looking and understanding and working with you to look not only at the physiology, but also what it is that you want so that we can ensure that we get you there. So here's your first assignment. And yes, the fun part about Optimum U is that it's our time to engage. This is your coaching time, okay? So I'm your coach and we're working together to ensure that you begin to really get involved in your health and your healing. We can't do it for you. As much as we'd love to, we can't. We're a piece in the puzzle. We're not the entire puzzle, okay? So what I want you to do right now so that you can establish your own personal baseline is I want you to go through all of your symptoms. I want you to write a complete symptom profile, everything that you're feeling and the things that are most important to you, that are really bothering you. And I want you to give them a number on a scale of 1 to 10. 10's the most, the most brain fog, the most pain, the most digestive heartburn or gas or bloating or constipation. It's the most. 1 is the least. Okay, the least fatigued, the least sore, the least skin problems, skin flare-up rashes, eczema, etc. So think 10 is the most, 1 is the least. I want you to start to track those symptoms. Now, anything else that maybe you wouldn't quantify as a symptom per se, but something that you would list as problematic for you. So let's say that weight is a problem and you're classifying it as a problem, and you wouldn't necessarily think that it's your symptom, but for you it's a problem. I want you to quantify it. So if you're at a certain number and you're wanting to be at another number, or you're wanting to lose inches, you're wanting to gain energy, I want you to begin to write down where you're at right now. Your struggles, your symptoms, your challenges. Give them a number, have a baseline, because we're going to come back to this and we're going to move through this and we're going to utilize this information. So this is important. I need you to do it. It's also some things you're going to take into your team at the office that they'll be able to support you with as you move through the journey. Fair enough? Okay, so take time right now. Write out all your symptoms of where you're at right now. That's going to help you to really assess that baseline so that as we move forward, you'll have your own benchmark. Not only do we have the clinical benchmarks, but I want the lifestyle. I want the symptomatic. I want that personal awareness. I want to give you a system that you're going to be able to check back into. Because here's the thing, you and I, we live in our bodies every single day. Now, I've been in practice for over 20 years. I've worked with thousands of patients, and I can tell you, we all do this, that you start, and if you don't quantify it, you really don't know how far you go. Because if you come into me and you're in pain, and you say, Dr. Melissa, I'm hurting, I'm in pain. And if we don't quantify that, let's say you started at a 9 out of 10. It was pretty severe. It had been going on for a long time. You were in pain every day and it was constant. And then let's say a month later you come in, and if I just said, how you doing, Sally? And you're like, Doc, I am still in pain. Okay, well, to me, if all we are using is the word pain, then we're both thinking there's still pain, there's still a problem. But now let's say I had you quantify that 30-day mark, and you're like, Doc, it's now like a 5 or a 6, and I don't have it every day. Like, I still get it, but I maybe get it 1 or 2 days a week, and it's at the end of the day. Wow, that's a much different story, right? We just made massive progress in 30 days. That's evidence that we are moving forward. We are making progress. So these benchmarks and this data is very, very important, and it's super important for you to quantify so that you do know. Because again, when you live in your body every day, pain is pain is pain. But when you tune into your body, when you notice it and you give yourself that opportunity to say, okay, I'm in pain, I'm tired, I'm sore, I'm gassy, I'm bloated, whatever it is, but how much? Is it a 1? Is it a 10? Is it more than yesterday? Is it less than last week? So that's the kind of stuff I want you to start tracking, okay? And, as you move through your care, again, I'm not sure of what's personally happening for you. That's where your team at the actual office will go through a lot of this with you. But know that there could be some other baseline tests that they're going to recommend. Things like it could be anything from cholesterol or food sensitivities, GI tract health. There could be adrenal, your stress response, hormonal levels, gluten sensitivity, inflammatory markers. The list can go on and on and on. There are so many things that may need to be looked at, but it all depends on you. And that's why we take a very customized approach, and it'll be determined with you and your team at Optimum Health. So your first assignment. Go right now. Make sure you've listed your starting point. Where are you at? Where are your personal benchmarks? I'm Dr. Melissa. Now get ready, because up next, the next video in the series that you're going to want to make sure you watch, and it's going to be a fun one. In the list that you're about to go do, you're going to need that for the second one. That one's titled Repainting Your Picture of Health. So until then, I'm Dr. Melissa. You go stay amazing.